Audiophile pressings, are those even worth it? Is there really a difference? So many questions when it comes to vinyl. How do you know you're buying something good? How do you know you're buying something bad? The fact is all vinyl is not made the same way. Just fact. Okay. This and this are the same record. This doesn't sound anything like this. This sounds way better. But the thing is that you see, we can see that there's something here that tells us that makes it different from this. All right. Let's complicate things a little bit further, right? Let's look at these Alice Coltrane records. This one here is an original. And this one here is a repress. Now, I've bought represses of Impulse stuff that wasn't great. Okay? I like my records to sound good. That's important. Okay? This one here is made from a company called Analog Productions. I know from experience that the minute you say Analog Productions, it's going to sell me on the record. I know what to expect. They use the master sources, they make it sound good, blah, blah, all of that stuff. To somebody who likes his records to sound good, that's going to matter. You know what's particularly interesting about this? This part actually completely blew me away. The reason I have this, by the way, is VMP was supposed to send me the Luwaka Bop thing on her private tapes, the vinyl on her private tapes, and they sent me this by mistake, so we're going to have to save the Alice Coltrane and spiritual jazz conversation for another time. But they sent me this instead, and it was interesting, because I opened it, I played it, and then I played it back to back with my original. This sounds better than my original. I'm not kidding. It's actually pretty clearly better. So how can you tell? In this case, you can tell because, well, I know that it's Analog Productions. But if you're going to have a store and you don't have that information, you don't know what to buy, right? Can I give you another example? I'll give you a couple of examples, okay? One of the first things that I play for myself and anybody who comes into this house for the first time is I play them that instrumental thing, what's it called? Brain Damage? I forgot what it's called. Anyway, I play that song over and over and over again. That's, you know, I used to just close the lights in my 20s and me and my cousin would smoke pot and just fucking listen to that over and over and over again and fucking giggle because of all the places that our mind would go. So I had this and was completely blown away when I listened to it on vinyl because the detail I heard is just nothing like anything I'd ever heard before. This is an original and sounds horrible. Okay. Now, if you take a look at what it says right at the top, can you see it? It says original master recordings. Okay, that's basically the difference here. Why are you paying more for that record? The reason you're paying more is because they're using the best source and they're putting more money into how the record sounds. They're putting more money into how the record is cut. They pay attention to this stuff in ways that other people don't pay attention. Okay, so drop the needle on... these are both good copies, fantastic copies of Bitches Brew, fantastic, okay? This one is Columbia Legacy. I really like Columbia Legacy pressings. This is the more expensive MoFi. This sounds better. I'm not making it up, man. Those are my ears, right? I'm perfectly fine with this, but all this is to say that the source from where a record is cut makes an enormous difference. How that record is being mastered. There's a whole bunch of things, okay? Sometimes just the title of the label tells us something. We know that Analog Productions is good. We know that Music Matters is a good label. We know that Mobile Fidelity is a good label. I know that even though Light in the Attic is not an audiophile label, I know that they press consistently good stuff, okay? You can't say that for everybody. Now, let me give you another example, and this is where the example matters most, because this pissed me off. I'm about to get pissed off. Look, I'm a jazz freak, all right? Miles Davis, John Coltrane, need to have almost all of it. It's crazy. So when something like this comes out, Okay, this came out, I think, on Record Store Day a couple of years ago. It's the last Record Store Day I ever went to, maybe 3 years ago, and bought it, left, done. Anyway, it's a reissue from the original sources of the original 10 inches with the original art, everything, man. Check it. Check this. Check this, man. Right? This thing sounds amazing. It sounds so good, you don't understand. Okay? And I was thrilled because all of a sudden what it means is, because I have all of those 10 inches, I don't have to go out and collect original pressings or other pressings of Miles Davis during that period. I have it all. They released 2 volumes, got it all. I was thrilled with that. That's why I like box sets. So naturally, when something like this comes out, right? The John Coltrane box set, mono. This is his complete Atlantic recordings except for my favorite things, because the original master tapes for the mono recording of that are destroyed. They don't exist. So I was thrilled to see this because I'm always on the hunt for this stuff, right? So I figure, all right, man, here it is. It's a box set. Went out. It's a $200 box set. This doesn't sound good. It looks like it can't possibly look better. Okay, check. Right? Check out the booklet. Right? Right? We're not fucking around. Check out the album covers. Right? They're all true to the original. Looks amazing, right? Beautiful. You love it. I did. I was happy. That's what it is that I'm buying. And then I dropped the needle. And they sound like shit. Well, why do they sound like shit? I do a bit of investigation, and, well, who pressed the records? Rhino pressed the records. Rhino is wildly inconsistent. I knew that. Had I known that Rhino were the people who were behind this pressing, I would have never spent the money on that, ever. Because I knew it's okay when you're buying a Pantera record, and that's no insult to Pantera. It's just, it's loud, it's noisy, so a lot of that stuff doesn't show up. But when you're talking about mono jazz from the 50s and early 60s, okay, if your record sounds like shit, it's going to sound like shit, period. It's just, you're defeating the point. What it is that you sold is a $200 brick, okay? To some people, it won't matter. I understand that, okay? So I don't want to be like a snob about it. It's not a question of that. It's just a question of the information matters. Who presses it? And yeah, sometimes if a record costs more, if you see that, you know, the analog productions, actually analog productions is really cheap as far as audiophile labels go. It's a great, great label, man. But yeah, MoFi is what I mean, okay? So, you know, if you see that a MoFi costs that much more to the same record side to side, that's why. Okay? There's a difference between recordings. Some records are pressed directly from CD, man. So, you know the whole question about how vinyl sounds warmer and not. Some records sound worse than CDs because it's a CD that now you're playing physically and has surface noise too. Hate to bust the bubble, but that's what the truth is.